West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
Love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, good morning to you. It's 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. We all know Colorado's blue, America's red. It all meets right here on the Jeff and Bill Show, where you're encouraged and invited to be a part of the conversation by giving us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Vic Vela, one of our favorites, live in studio, founder of the Back from Broken Foundation, storied career in media as well, Colorado Public Radio, many others. He is hosting an event on Thursday, June 12th, titled Shattering Stigma and Embracing Hope. It's a 90-minute event that's going to dive into the complex intersections of leadership, personal trauma, redemption, and public responsibility. He is getting right, left, center, everybody together to talk about addiction, talk about recovery, about how we combat this. Proud to be a part of this event, joining some folks like former U.S. Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo. Kira DeGray Kennedy is also going to be a part of it. She's a progressive policy leader here in town. And Adam Berg, a policy strategist. All together, talk about how addictions affected our lives, lost friends, all that stuff. This is an important night. And Vic's taking some risk with this. He's putting together some people that normally are shouting at each other from opposite sides, getting together, united to talk about confronting a problem that doesn't care what political background you have or even what your wealth is. Addiction, destroying people's lives. We're going to be talking about that. Don't miss this conversation. But now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good Tuesday morning, 62 and sunny in Denver. Expecting a high of 88 today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, the U.S. and China are continuing their efforts to avoid an all-out trade war. Top officials from both countries are in London for a second day of trade talks. The two sides agreed on an initial pact in Geneva last month.
And we're going to flood the zone. I've said for a month, sanctuary cities, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys that you just listed out. We could arrest them in safety and security of the county jail, but they won't let us into jail. They release them into the community.
Part of L.A. burning, of course, and tonight a peaceful, air quotes, protest is planned for Denver at the Capitol by the commies. What Tom Homan says about L.A. also applies to Denver.
Which means we got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find this dangerous person that don't want to be found. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More officers in the communities and more officers in worksite. We can't arrest them in jail or arrest them in the community. If we can't arrest them in the community, we're going to increase worksite enforcement operation. We're going to flood the zone. And based on what LA is doing right now, we're going to continue to flood the zones. We're going to be there tonight. We're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be there every day in the next 4 years, arresting public safety threat illegal aliens. We're not going to apologize for doing it.
Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna says these are paid rioters in L.A. creating all the chaos, allegedly.
Just found a really great deep dive here from the Data Republican on X. So who is behind all these crazy riots in LA and that will be across the nation? Just like, remember, in the Summer of Love with BLM, remember who's organizing all that stuff? With this specifically is being funded by an individual by the name of Neville Singham, who actually made his money by pushing communist Chinese propaganda, became a billionaire doing it. He's now funding, and the guy behind all of these protests was also behind and tied to the protests at Columbia University, pushing all of that BS, if you don't remember.
Oh, yes, we remember. Neville Singham, deep dive into him, frightening. Governor Newsom continues to spew his lies and theatrics.
You know, and this is why I told the president, just get it over with. Arrest me. Move on. If you need some head to scalp, do it with me, but stop messing with these kids. Stop messing with 4-year-olds, kids in elementary school. We've got kids. We have hundreds of graduations down here. Kids are not going to their own graduations. Families, grandparents, here legally. Mixed status families in some cases, scared to death to go to a graduation. People are scared to walk down the streets. It's not just Home Depots getting their car washed.
Yeah, they're scared because of you.
I would love for him, like I said, just keep making those videos. Just keep making those.
Absolutely.
Trump's not going to arrest him.
No, do not arrest him. Dude, just let him keep on making those things. It's like I'm watching Law and Order or CSI LA with this greaseball.
We have incidences. I didn't believe it because what was I thinking? I actually believed when they said this is not true. But then I saw videos. They're doing checkpoints, checking people's IDs.
No.
We've never seen this kind of deployment in so many actions. It's mass panic out here in the nation's largest county, in the nation's largest state. Good, hardworking people, decent people. These are not the criminals. These are not the thugs.
No, of course not. For what it's worth, this lady found ads on Craigslist seeking fighters.
As history repeats itself, we obviously know that any of these rioters, these protesters, never comes out organically, okay? It is always paid protesters and rioters, and we were absolutely right once again. 2 days ago, I went looking for Craigslist ad. I could not find it because usually they put it under peaceful protest. Well, this time they had it under disguise as general labor. They were looking for construction guys. The ad is, again, disguised under general labor. They were looking for the toughest badass in Los Angeles County. They are seeking extremely tough, brave men for new crew in building. Compensation starts at $6,500 to $12,500 per week. We are forming a select team of the toughest dudes in the area. The unit will be activated only when the situation demands it, but you get paid every week no matter what.
I'm sure it's just for a motorcycle fight or a bike fight, bike gangs or something in Southern California. Sure, it has nothing to do
anywhere
with
in the ad say that it was about the protests?
No.
Oh,
didn't.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Again, so just making sure the woman is making assumptions about stuff that is information that is not included in there.
True.
She's just assuming. True. And most of the Craigslist ads that have talked about paid protesters have been proven to be completely and totally false. They're normally jokes that are put up because people know that other people will grab onto them and go, ha, 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 I caught you. And again, she could prove it by applying and seeing what the process would be, rather than just saying, look, I found an ad that I don't know anything about. But,
hey, it's
tomato.
It's she's trying to connect the dots.
Yeah,
and
she is.
When you
start
start seeing the what do they call Waymos or what are those things?
Yeah,
those
Waymos.
Okay, Waymos. And when you start seeing those, catch on fire and all the craziness, you got to, people care. Citizen journalists try to figure out stuff, and she has a little track record, so could be true, may not be. But I don't trust politicians either, so I'll listen to her.
I don't either. And if she can connect the dots, she can connect the dots.
Yep.
And we can give her flowers then, but not until then.
Absolutely. I hate that term, give them the flowers.
That's a cool one. That's a cool one, man.
That started like 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
So stupid.
No, I disagree. That's a cool one. I like the idea because I like the idea because it's a nice visual. It's a nice visual. It's a nice way of praise. It's okay.
I don't want flowers.
It's okay. I'll never give you flowers.
Thank you. This guy's throwing rocks, and he's the terrorist that was doing that, and he's been identified as 40-year-old Elpidio Reyna. Investigators searching for him, and he's charged with assault and faces up to 8 years in prison. And the FBI offering $50,000, a $50,000 reward for info leading to his capture.
Double it, $100,000.
I'm right there with
that's
you.
ridiculous. Again,
how about $1 million?
Yeah, I am perfectly fine with that. Again, for all the breadth that I've given to understanding and seeing the protesters, when I saw that video of the guy picking up the rocks and throwing up the cars, no.
I agree.
No,
that one's hard to watch.
I'm okay. I'm okay if someone in the crowd picks up a rock and throws it at him. I mean, again, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, $1 million to find him. Yeah, okay, I'm up for that. Yeah.
He had some good stones too, some big stones. Not only stones, but he had some big rocks he was throwing.
And what makes me and remember, Blake, and you'll remember this, and so will Jeff, and so will Vic Vella, who's in the studio with us. The trio of young men who are now going to be spending the rest of their lives behind bars because they were dropping rocks off of overpasses onto cars.
That poor girl that died in Jefferson County.
So this is serious. You do not throw the rocks at the cars.
Well, you got that.
This is one that I will throw down on, and I don't care. It's, put him in prison, and 8 years, that's not enough. I'm sorry, but this is that one time in which I will sit there and say yes. So again, I'm not as consistent as people think I am. Alrighty, sorry to interrupt. Back to you.
We know the truth, Billy. We know deep down inside. A resolution condemning the terror attack in Boulder has been passed by the U.S. House of Representatives. The resolution, introduced by Colorado Congressman Gabe Evans, outlines the history of suspect Mohammed Solomon, including his status as an Egyptian national illegally living here. As he talked about on the show yesterday with Jeff and Billy, 280 members of the House voted for the resolution, including Colorado Democrats Brittany Pedersen and Joe Neguse.
And again, in the slot, Rodriguez for Haney scores!
Stanley Cup Finals last night. It was Game 3, and the Panthers beat the Oilers 6-1. They lead 2-1. Giants at the Rockies tonight at 6:40, 59 in Littleton, 60 in North Glen, 62 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
For the next several days ahead, typical weather along the Front Range for June. Temperatures will be warm. Highs in Denver 80s today, 50s tonight, sunny to partly sunny. Basically the same temperature pattern Wednesday through Friday, highs 80s and lows 50s, but Wednesday through Friday will bring the return chance of late afternoon and evening scattered showers and thunderstorms, and that trend will likely continue through the weekend. Weather is sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's always fun to have somebody in the studio that actually knows how to do radio. It's not Bill and I. No. It's not Bill and I. It's the five-time Edward R. Murrow award-winning journalist, podcast host, educator, public speaker, radio personality, Vic Vella. You got a little bit of a rodeo introduction there. Five-time multi-million-dollar bull rider.
He's the
Vic Vella.
five-time Edward R. Murrow award winner.
Hey, thanks for being in the studio, man.
Thanks.
Hey, guys. It's good to be with you again.
So, you're hosting an event. Vic Vella is now the founder of an organization called the Back from Broken Foundation. We're going to dive into that in a second, but let's give people a real quick update. You're hosting an event this Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Titled Shattering Stigma, Embracing Hope. And I can only imagine what you're hearing from all sides when you got Kira DeGurry Kennedy, me, and Yadira Caraveo, along with Adam Berg, on a stage together. Goodness.
Yeah, I basically woke up one morning and said, who are the polar opposites I could just put on stage, right? And I'm like, there's no way they're going to say yes to this. There's no way. But you said yes. You all said yes.
Yeah.
And there's no backing out now.
Oh, it's fun. It's always fun. And you get it.
Yeah.
Some people have purity tests and think that somehow, even if you have a conversation with somebody, you're compromising your values. But in this case, what you're doing is trying to point out and raise awareness about how addiction travels across all the political spectrum, the socioeconomic spectrum, and everyone's dealing with it.
Well, Jeff, I mean, as much as we may want to wish away half the country, right? The half of the country that disagree with us. Jeff, I listened to you on the drive-in. I agreed with 0 things you said. Exactly 0. But I'm sitting here talking to you because you're a human being and I'm a human being, and we live on this planet together. And I think that there are times when we just need to sit down and say, okay, we may not be able to agree on this protest stuff that's going on and Trump's response, but we have a lot in common when it comes to loss and pain and seeing other people struggle and suffer. And in my case, going through that myself and seeing a lot of my friends struggle with it. So why can't we just meet in the areas where we could meet on, right? We don't have to fight all the time. Let's just talk about something that affects, as you said it, every single one of us.
Yeah. And so what's the event on Thursday about?
So it's, you said it perfectly. We want to shatter stigma by just talking about this stuff, right? Former Congresswoman Caraveo is going to talk about mental health issues that she struggled with. She's also going to take on some of the allegations that were made against her in the Colorado Sun from some of her former staffers, congressional staffers, who felt that they were mistreated while she was struggling with those issues. She's going to talk about it.
I mean, that's newsmaking.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Cara Degree Kennedy, who's a progressive policy leader. She'll talk. She went through some tough stuff in her childhood, trauma, sexual assault. She started drinking at a young age. Again, Jeff, it's stuff that I don't care if you're a Republican parent or a Democrat parent, your kids struggle with this stuff, right? There's no D or R at the end of that, right? And so, and then my friend Adam Berg has worked at the Capitol for years. He's a young guy who is an alcoholic and he's in recovery. And of course, you will talk about some of the friends that you have known and loved and lost to this insidious disease. And when I talk about addiction, man, there's no other way to put it. It is insidious. Yeah. It's the snake that just wraps around you, and you're suffocated once it does that.
Yeah. And I would say it's demonic. For my Christian faith tradition, I think it's intentional, in the sense that I think there's a force that gets their like claws into somebody and then takes them down further and further. And I just watched them, people very close to me, my very best friend, we were inseparable from first grade. I remember the first time I went over there to play Nintendo with him, because I was brand new at a school, Cherry Hills Elementary School, and didn't know anybody. I had come from Greenwood Elementary School, moved over, went to Cherry Hills, didn't know anybody. He invited me over. We go play Nintendo at his house, and we strike up a friendship where we literally were together every single day up until I was about 16. So think about 10 years, every summer day playing together, vacations together, inseparable, and we started to take a different path. When I was 16, I started to get more serious about my faith. And then the innocent parties that we used to do when we were, we started smoking cigarettes 6th grade, started drinking a little bit of alcohol 7th grade, 8th grade we're smoking pot. By the time we hit high school, big parties, ragers. I find it pretty empty, and I get frustrated, and so I'm looking for something else, and I find my faith in Christ. And so I start to go a different path. He goes down this road of getting into harder and harder drugs, overdoses on cocaine, and this is a very good family. Overdoses on cocaine. He's living with somebody. They don't know what to do. They're afraid to take him to the hospital or call the police. They don't want to get in trouble. And so they wrap him up in a carpet and take him to the Inglewood City dump and throw him away. And so to watch someone I loved at the core of my being, my very best friend, go down that way, and then life ends at 20 years old for him.
Gosh.
It's terrible. And so what I so appreciate about you is how open you are. We don't have to get into that on this episode. We did that last time, your own personal. But Vic is incredibly honest about his own battles. But you're putting this together because you want to raise awareness and then do what? Like, what becomes a win for you Thursday night when this wraps up?
When people can walk away saying, I feel some hope coming out of that conversation. Right? It may sound counterintuitive when people are talking about painful stuff and sad stuff that you're going to walk away hopeful. But there's a reason why some of those people, including myself, are still alive. Right? Like, I should be dead, Jeff. I've been in the back of ambulances. I would remember little flashes from overdoses where there's a paramedic frantically doing stuff on top of me and around me, and then I black out, and then the next thing I remember, I'm in a hospital bed, and I'm like, how did I get here? What's going on here? Right? Like, I know what it's like to face death, and in many ways really cheat death. There's times, Jeff, where I'm like, God, so many of my friends are gone because of this disease, right? Why did you spare me? Why'd you spare me? I didn't do anything I partied. I did just as much cocaine and drank just as much as my friend who just died. Why me? And I stopped asking myself that early in my recovery because it started to come to me that there's a reason why I talk about this stuff. And it's not because I love the sound of my own voice. It's because that every time I talk about this, I get a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a partner, a spouse who come up to me and say, thank you. Because of your conversation, my son just went to his first meeting. Just because of your conversation on your podcast or the speech you just gave, I now know what my husband or wife is going through when they can't put down that drink, right? It's empathy, Jeff. It's empathy. And so if we can take away that from these conversations, and also to remember that before the disease sets in and during the process of the disease, we are human beings. You just talked about your friend. What Nintendo game did you guys play?
Oh gosh, it was Mario at that point. It was like Super Mario 3, I think.
Is
that the one?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, that'd be one of them. Yeah.
I played Tecmo Bowl. Trying to tackle Bo Jackson, which was impossible.
Well, you had to, if you were, back in the day, if you played your friends on Tecmo Bowl, there was a no Raiders clause. Nobody's allowed to beat the Raiders because you can't beat them. There's no way. Yes,
it's unfair. Yeah. But those memories matter.
Yeah, right. You're right. You're exactly right.
They matter. And so when we think back, do we really have to lose another friend to this?
And I appreciate you bringing this up too. I went through the DEA Citizens Academy with Stephen Tubbs, and we heard from a dad who's featured in the film by Stephen, Denver and Decay. And the dad had 2 sons. There's only 2 sons. Both thought they were going to pop a little Oxycontin and hang out and end up dead that night in bed together. They overdosed lying next to each other. 2 brothers. I mean, and here, that guy's white suburbia. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're black, Hispanic. By the way, I want to ask you what Chicano means because you're a Chicano.
I identify as Chicano, and basically that means the ancestors on my mom's side are both European and indigenous. So my mom has indigenous roots to New Mexico that predate the earliest New England colonies. So you have the Indian tribes.
Really?
You have the Indian tribes in the 15 and 1600s. All of a sudden, here come these new guys, the Spaniards, into Mexico and into New Mexico, and they colonize. Yeah. And then the Spaniards, for lack of a more sincere way of putting it, hooked up with some of the Indian women, right? Yeah. And that's how people like my mom came to be. We are Chicano.
Have you guys done the genealogical background?
Oh, sure, we have. We could
How
trace,
far back can you guys go?
We can go back to Spain. We could go back to Spain in the 1400s. Yeah,
that's cool.
So when I say I'm a native, and when my mom says she's a native, we are natives. We have been here a really long time. Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. Vic Vela is live in studio with us. So June 12th, this Thursday, at 7 p.m., doors open at 6:30, but at 7 p.m., he's going to launch an event called Shattering Stigma and Embracing Hope. He's brought together right, left, center, everybody to discuss addiction, recovery. It might be drugs, it might be alcohol, it could be other things, but the importance of getting together to talk about this, because this is a human beings issue. It's not a Republican, Democrat, rich, poor, black, white, Hispanic, Chicano, whatever. It is a human beings issue to deal with the call of addiction in your life, and then trying to overcome it and live a free life, a life that's full of hope and love. That's what he's trying to promote here. I'm going to put this at a link at my X account, x.com/Jeff Hunt. Tickets still available, but it's filling up this Thursday. I mean, tell me how you think the night's going to go.
And first of all, if you guys want to come, the more the merrier. Just go to the BFBF.org, as in the Back from Broken Foundation. You asked how I envisioned this going.
Yeah. What's the night going to look like?
It's going to look like a bunch of people having a conversation, just like we would at a dinner table with our families and friends, just like if we're sitting around a bar, except those of us who don't drink these days, right? Like anytime you get together with people and you start talking about stuff, you may have some bullet points that you want to hit that are important, but a lot of human conversations may go in directions that we are unexpecting, right? We're just going to let it happen. We're just going to talk about this stuff. And the people who have struggled with this stuff are going to be open about it. The people who have seen what you've seen are going to be open about it, because those perspectives matter, Jeff. I think you hit on a really good point that, I do not come from privilege. You do. But you have friends who have died because of addiction, just like I have, right? And so it's the ultimate equal opportunity killer, addiction is. And mental health, man, there's so many people struggling with mental health right now. So let's just talk about it. Jeff, there hasn't been a thing in my recovery when I started talking about things to people in meetings, right, with my sponsor. It can be really hard to talk about this stuff. But when the words started coming out of my mouth, there was like a weight lifted. Like, I can talk about this, and it's not so scary, and I don't need a shot of tequila to do it. And so now all of a sudden you're like shining a light on these things that used to terrify us. We can do it. And it's a simple motto that we have with the Back from Broken Foundation. We can recover. We absolutely can. I've sat in meetings, Jeff, 12-step meetings, whatever. To the left of me is a guy full of prison tattoos, right? Chains, whatever. Guy has, in and out of prison, assaults, robberies, you name it. And he's sitting there bouncing his little granddaughter on his knee. He's been sober for 10 years. It's like, if that guy can do it, anyone can do it.
Well, think too, Bill Daniels comes to mind.
Sure.
The Daniels Foundation.
Yes.
I think of this billion-dollar entity that has helped so many people. A lot of it is born out of Bill Daniels' own experience with alcoholism and recovery there. And he was able to take something that was a chain in his life and a real problem. It created, problems with his own family. But then to pivot. But here's a guy who essentially started the entire cable industry in Colorado, dealt with addiction and recovery issues as well. So
it affects us all.
It really does. Vic Vella's live in studio. Phone lines are open if you want to give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. He's hosting an event this Thursday, Shattering Stigma, Embracing Hope, 7 p.m. It kicks off. It's at the Eisenhower Chapel off of Roslyn Street in Denver. All of this at his website, thebfbf.org. thebfbf.org. Or just go to my X account, x.com/Jeff Hunt. I'll have links there. But come on out. It's going to be a fun conversation among people that you wouldn't expect to be on the stage together, but coming together not to challenge political back and forths, but to get very serious about addressing addiction and the way it's impacting those that we love in our lives, maybe even ourselves. Yadiro Caravel's going to be making news there, so you're not going to want to miss it. We'll get some details more on this and continue the conversation. I want to talk to you real quick about my friends over at the Black Eyed Pea. I love this restaurant, locally owned and operated by Steve and Michelle. This is one of those few restaurants that hits all three generations. My parents, my wife and I, and then our kids all love it. There's something good to find there. And look, we're in Maha land right now, right? Make America healthy. The processed food no longer flying. You can get home cooking, quality food, locally sourced, all at your local Black Eyed Pea. Go online at blackeyedpeacolorado.com and check out their featured menu that they have throughout the different seasons in Colorado. Right now, they've got special barbecue. They've got burgers, a potato menu, and more. They've built a reputation in Colorado for the best home-cooked meal away from home. I always take folks when they want to meet up. I'm like, yeah, let's go to the Black Eyed Pea. We meet here in Parker. And they're like, Jeff, this is the best meal I've had in a long time. They also do catering. If it's a dinner party, rehearsal dinner, wedding reception, or company event, make it as a success with Black Eyed Pea Catering. And no matter what the occasion, Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always great for your special someone, birthday favors or holiday presents. They have you covered. I love everything about this restaurant. I know you will too. Support local like I do. Keep it in Colorado and visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're live in studio with Vic Vela, a guy who actually knows radio. Whereas Bill and I are just
trying to figure this out.
scrounging around trying to figure it out.
I'm still amazed by all these blinking lights in this room.
Which end do I talk into?
Exactly.
Vic Vela is a 5-time Edward R. Murrow award-winning journalist, podcast host, educator, public speaker. He's now the founder of the Back from Broken Foundation. And this Thursday, like 48 hours from now, he's hosting an event where he's been able to pull together some great folks. I mean, right, left, center, doesn't matter. Yadir Carveo, myself, Adam Berg, Kira Degree Kennedy, my apologies. And we're all going to be on a panel talking about how addiction has affected our lives, affected us personally, took away those that we love, to just get past the right, left stigma, rich, poor, black, white stigmas that are out there and just go, dude, this thing's happening to everybody. So we need to address it. And I really appreciated him putting it on. I know he's probably heard like I did. I hosted an event for 8 years. I got criticism for anybody I invited, just anybody out there I could put up there. Why'd you have that person? Do you know how terrible they are? So
and now
kudos
you're stuck with
to
me
you
all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you hear about it every
literally
day.
yesterday, I had people out of my house like, Bill.
Yes.
Everywhere I go, people want to talk about Bill.
It's awful. I'm the problem child.
By the way, tomorrow morning, Bill and I are live out at IHOP in North Glen.
They're letting us out in public. We might even be on the patio. This is crazy. I wonder if they know what trouble we get into.
Last time we did this, Vic, he and Rich Wyatt, I thought we were going to take it out to the parking lot. You remember Rich Wyatt from American Guns, and then he ended up going to jail for a little bit.
Right.
Now he's the chair of the
we might
Jefferson
have been
County
yelling at
Republican
each
Party.
other in IHOP.
Dude,
off
it
air.
was so funny.
Yeah.
There's an absolute more Polish element to this
fantastic.
show.
Yeah, it
and
is.
especially comes out when we're out in public. But tomorrow
ever.
morning, we're out at the IHOP off of 104th and I-25, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We got deals for you, all that stuff.
$7.10 breakfast we hooked up thanks to Mike Boyle at the IHOP there for you. $7.10. Think about that. $7.10. Yeah, I know, just like $7.10K in US, but we're talking about what does it cost you if you swing through that coffee shop and you're getting that coffee that's actually a milkshake and you throw a muffin or something on there.
Dude,
or you go to
Dutch
the
Brothers
fast,
is...
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
Dutch
even
Brothers.
coffee. Have you ever been to Dutch Brothers?
Yeah,
I
that's
cannot
serious.
tell a time when I've been to. I'm not much of a go out to get coffee kind of guy.
Yeah. It's like Red Bull infused Slurpees.
It's just
Is
like
it?
crazy
It
stuff.
is weird,
and they're
crazy stuff.
printing money. There's like lines of Dutch Brothers all the time.
So much money. It's because all human beings are just hummingbirds.
So tomorrow,
Going
IHOP,
for
we're
the
going to be
sugar.
there broadcasting the show. 104th and I-25, the IHOP in North Glen, $7.10 breakfast special for you. That's the big one. That's the pancakes. That's the hash browns. That's the bacon or sausage. We're going to hook you up. But again, think about roll through that fast food. You're going to sit there, eat in your car. You get the stuff all over you.
It
and
makes
it's-
you sick.
Yeah, it's just, that's not what you want.
Are you a
Come
healthy
hang out with
eater,
us.
Vic?
I try to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do like paleo? You do the...
But I give myself a break too. It's like, okay, if someone's like, why are you drinking that Diet Coke, or why are you eating that cereal with the cartoon character on the box? It's like, do you know what I used to do every day?
Yeah, this is not the worst choice I could be making right now.
Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Look at the scale of choices I could
Yeah,
make.
right.
This one's really good.
So I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Vic, it seems like you're putting this great event together. Thank you so much for doing this. But it seems like our culture is like, play around with it. Play around with the pot. Play around with alcohol. In fact, you can't have fun at a Broncos game without getting, hammered ahead of time or drinking a little bit. We went through the whole cigarette thing forever. It's what it relaxes you. It keeps you thin. Our culture is like play around with stuff, and then we're like, oh, we got a whole bunch of people addicted to stuff. Like, do we do this? It seems like we do this to ourselves, and then we try to back out of it. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I remember those days where people would smoke everywhere, no matter which. You go to a restaurant and it's full of smoke, right? Yeah. Even the chains, Perkins would be full of smoke, right? Thankfully, people have kind of learned more about smoking and its qualities, but you know what? There's still the number one offender is alcohol. There's so much talk about fentanyl. And I always say, look, don't get me wrong. Fentanyl is awful, and the people who lose their lives to it, it's terrible, right? But I think what gets lost in the conversation here is that only a small percentage of people actually die from fentanyl poisoning, right? Or fentanyl overdose.
Yeah. It's about 100,000.
The overwhelming majority, the number one reigning champion when it comes to people landing in the emergency room is alcohol.
Interesting.
And it's 100% legal. There's billboards. There's billboards everywhere. You can't watch a sporting event without Budweiser or Miller Lite or whatever, or whatever fancy new tequila is out there, right? Now, I'm just pointing that out as fact. I'm not, now whether we have a problem with that as a society needs to come to grips with that. Also, gambling. Every single pregame show these days.
Vic, you're starting to sound like a social conservative. Hold on.
It's hosted by FanDuel or something.
Yes, dude.
And then you have like these guys who played a few years in the majors and they're at a FanDuel desk and the anchor's like, hey, person who just played a few years in the majors, what's your bet tonight? This guy is not a betting expert. And yet, this is what we do.
I mean, so this is what I pointed out on the numbers. This is what I appreciate you just pointed out. So fentanyl overdoses are around 100,000, 150,000 a year, thankfully going down.
Yeah.
Tobacco-related deaths are near 500,000. So 5 times. But, Vic, this takes us into sensitive territory. So I look at that and I go, okay, what ended up happening was addiction and capitalism combined. And capitalism's job is to get as many users and customers as it possibly can. Well, then I go, well, it seems like prohibition works. And then people start throwing stuff at me when I say that. So, because I'm like, fentanyl, which is prohibited, kills people. It's way more serious at killing people than tobacco. But tobacco, because it's commercialized, gives me 5 times more deaths. So shouldn't we start restricting drug use? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that the reason why fentanyl has become the sexy conversation around this kind of stuff, and I put sexy in quotation marks. I don't want to belittle it at all. It's important, but I think that when we see reports of a kid, some 16-year-old kid who has never touched a drug in his life, and he and his buddy just want to go have fun at a party and they pop exactly one pill that kills them, well, of course that's going to make headlines, right? And of course that's going to sound the alarms. People who die from tobacco, it's a long, slow walk to death. And so those aren't noticed because they're still living 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Same with alcohol, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So it doesn't seem as alarming, right? Until when you're 60 years old and you need a new liver, right? Look, I am not, what I always tell people, I don't know if the nanny state is the right way to go about it. Look at what happened with opioids. We saw this opioid crisis where people were starting to get hooked on pills that they would get from their doctors. And then all of a sudden, this wave of legislation, including right here in Colorado, that clamped down on doctors writing prescriptions for opioids. Well, what did that do? All of a sudden, it cut off all these people who had been hooked, who were getting pills from their doctors. And then the next day, the doctor says, I can't write this for you anymore. And it created a crisis because what did those people do?
Heroin.
They go to the streets.
They went to the streets. That's exactly right. Did you ever read Dreamland?
No.
By the book? Oh, it's fascinating on how we got into the opioid problems because it was doctors. It was doctors that started looking at pain as a vital sign and going, you're not a good doctor if your patients are suffering. Meanwhile, Pfizer's running around going, these are non-habit forming.
Oh, see,
they were running around going, no, these opioids are non-habit forming. We've cracked the code. They're at all these conferences. So doctors are getting pressure that if your patients are in pain, you're a bad doctor. Meanwhile, we got this miracle cure that is non-habit forming. And so they just started, here's 30 opioids for you.
Yeah, and
this thing was totally made by pharmaceutical companies.
And tobacco industry did the same thing with cigarettes and hiding the facts about this stuff. And the thing is, too, Jeff, is that it also hurts people who are in real pain. Yeah. There are many people who have chronic pain, who need that medication. Now it's harder for them to get, or they had to jump
100%.
through hoops because of the mess that the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors created on their own.
Now, that's Vic Vela,
Bro.
founder of the Back from Broken Foundation. I want to kind of go off of that just for a sec. Yeah. Now, what is something,
Stand
Vic,
up and dance.
in your journey through addiction and recovery, what is something that our society doesn't understand about addiction? What is something that they look at and they make this conclusion, not understanding the problem at all? What do you wish that we knew about it?
Well, but what a great question, and an important question that probably has a lot of different answers. I don't think it's just one. I think the best way to answer that, number one, is that there is no cure for addiction, right? Anyone who promises a cure is selling snake oil. Run away as fast as you can, right? There's no such thing as curing addiction. I will always be a cocaine addict, but I'm a cocaine addict in recovery. As long as I don't pick up that drug, I don't have to worry about what it does to me, right? That's my recovery. That's my medicine, so to speak, right? But just because someone is sober for a really long time doesn't make them cured, right? Because it's the Grateful Dead song, Uncle John's Band, when life looks like Easy Street, there is danger at your door, right? And so one day a life event can happen. Happened to me, right? We all have these moments where crises happen and then you go running to familiar patterns. No one is cured from this disease, number one. Number two, the way I put it is that no one is cured. You only hope for a daily reprieve. And if you work hard enough, you could do that, right? Also, it's not a smart and stupid thing. Like, why are you doing all these drugs? Are you that stupid? Why are you so stupid? Like, are you kidding? Do you know how many doctors are addicts? You know how many lawyers are addicts? Some of the smartest people we know in our communities, and high-profile people, brilliant people. It's not a smart or stupid thing, and it's not a willpower thing, right? When I put cocaine into my body, I am helpless against it. I can only do more and more and more. When an alcoholic takes that one drink, they are defenseless. They had to keep drinking more and more and more. The only way to do that is to not do it at all, right? And I think that there's plenty of people out there, one of the other things that we hear about is California sober. Look, more power to you. Like, if you used to be a heavy drug user and now all you do is smoke weed every now and then, more power to you. To me, that's the ultimate form of harm reduction. I would much rather be hanging out with the guy who's smoking weed every so often than the guy who's shooting up every day, right? Good for you. But California sober is not the same as sober, right? So let's not call it that.
That's Vic Vela live in studio with us. He's hosting an event Thursday, June 12th. That's this Thursday, Shattering Stigma, Embracing Hope, 7 to 9 p.m. at the Eisenhower Chapel. You can get details and get tickets to it. They're still available, but they're running out, so get them quick at thebfbf.org, thebfbf.org, or x.com/Jeff Hunt. We'll continue our conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Lively discussion. I wish we didn't have these commercials. We could just keep going. Vic and I diving into policy discussions and all this. But I think it's a preview of what you're going to see Thursday night. So you have on stage. I'm like the least public figure on this group that you put together. I mean, you have former members of Congress, Yadira Caraveo, who the news is going to want to see because of how she's going to respond to some of the allegations from her own staff, those types of things. You've got a great lineup, and it'll be a discussion on personal loss with regards to addiction, but then it'll be a policy discussion too, I imagine, right? So what do we do moving forward? And I imagine you're going to have some different ideas out there.
Yeah,
right?
and that's why I wanted you guys on, because, you know, Jeff, you've been highly opinionated about some of the policy around, things like needles and safe injection sites and marijuana policy.
I don't see it as a compassionate society to let people live drug addicted in tents. I just don't see it as compassionate. And if I have to put people in jail to at least step in to try to stop that, I'm willing to do it. But I can see people going, Jeff's incarcerating people because of addiction.
Well, as with anything, there's always a huge gray middle where it's like, is the answer in there somewhere, right? Like, I can tell you, Jeff, I'll just ask a question. Would anyone's lives be better off right now if I had gone to jail instead of treatment?
And I would question as to whether or not we have to separate and bifurcate them. I would see jail as a bit of treatment, but this is something, we're out of time. Vic, we're going to have to continue this on Thursday. Oh, man, this is going to be so good. So this Thursday,
Thanks,
7 o'clock, Vic Vela pulling it all together. I'll have it at x.com/Jeff Hunt. Thank you, brother, so much. Appreciate you being here. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.